What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Mint City Soccer Show. I'm one of your hosts, David Gussler. We've got the whole band here tonight. So, got my co-host buddy here, Matt Swift. Matt, how are you, sir?
It's good to be on with you guys, but
yeah.
I'm
going to circle back to that in 2 seconds. I was going to start the show a lot differently if we recorded this on Tuesday, but we also have our producer extraordinaire, occasional co-host as well, Corey Ensko in the background. Corey, welcome back. How are you? So that could be the intro and the title.
So, ups and downs.
So I was going to start this show on Tuesday and just have it just be dead quiet and be like, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. But then the Wednesday night happened and we may not be back. So don't know. Well, maybe we're halfway back. I don't know. But let's dive into it and have that fun conversation here, Swift. I'm sure no one wants to sit here for an hour and hear us bitch and complain a little bit, but we're gonna talk.
We're gonna do it anyway.
We're gonna do it anyway. So strap in. So
is that what you're saying?
Basically, yes,
okay,
yes.
Cool.
But it's been a wild ride. I know, Swift, you missed out on the episode last week, and we were on a 5-game losing streak when we recorded last with Corey, and then we were actually able to rebound a little bit and have signs of life, and won at home against the Columbus Crew. And I still think it's somewhat dramatic fashion because there was some, I don't want to say controversy, but some frustration moments there. And then we come back on Wednesday night and lose, not in great form. That's the best way to put it. Let's dive into it, man. So Swift, how are you feeling right now as a Charlotte FC fan?
I think like most people, concerned. But I do honestly think there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I was pretty upset after the game Wednesday, but when I kind of sat back and looked at it and see that we have some pieces coming back, I think there's some areas of improvement. I think we actually saw that against Columbus. It just, some other things happened Wednesday night, just some of the mistakes and, I think those can be fixed. I think we'll be in good shape. There's kind of some new news. I don't know if you guys have seen that maybe in the summer transfer window. Yeah, so I think there will be some moves in the summer. I think there's some areas on this team that we can improve on. My big thing, and I think why we have struggled, is the fullbacks. And I think some of that's going to be addressed already with Doumbia coming back. And I just think we need, with Doumbia coming back, you can move Ruddy to right back, his natural position. And I think it solves some of that. But I still firmly have the stance that our fullbacks are the reason why we have struggled and given up a lot of goals. I can point to specific things. I know some people have, talked about Malanda and Privet and the midfield. I really can look back to when Nathan Byrne goes out, Doumbia immediately goes out, and then we just tank. And it's because you've got a very young right back, this inexperience, and that's not normally his position. I don't think Nick has done really well. You have Ruddy on the left that I think has struggled. Now, he has had some pretty solid games. He messed up in this last game. But I think if we solve that, there's a lot to be hopeful for going down the road. Now, we just got to get past June and not drop to the bottom of the standings. But I think there's hope there.
So not to jump around too much, but you said there might be some moves in the summertime, and you alluded to that. So what do you think that could possibly happen? Because we'll come back to the fullback talk in current state, but I know there's some moves or news that dropped potentially with some players to watch. So what were you alluding to there?
Yeah, well, it looks like Top Ben and Tom Bogart, there's a couple of people now reporting about Patrick's contract. And that's been something that's been kind of been a prolonged thing for a while. And it seems like negotiations have stalled. Now, we could move forward with Patrick, but that could be an issue that we see in the summer. We might see Pat leave. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of suitors. There's a lot of teams in MLS that probably want him. There's been some interest overseas, so the price could be right. I don't know. Pat's a fan favorite. That's going to be a tough one if he leaves, but that might happen.
Can I read the article from Tom Bogert here for a second and just quote this just from So this is from GiveMeSport.com, article written by the mustachio man himself, Tom Bogert. So he just basically says Patrick Agyemang could depart Charlotte FC this summer for the right opportunity, but he's more than content at the club, and any transfer would have to make sense for Charlotte. There remains plenty of interest in the Championship and Belgium and Europe at the start of summer, sources say. Yeah. So he links this in here saying Charlotte already rejected a $4 million bid from then champion side club Luton Town in January, as previously revealed at Give Me Sport. So it just says again, he's open to staying in Charlotte, but talks of the new contract have completely stopped for months. Yeah. It says the sides are not close on salary terms, sources say. And if Agyemang doesn't move this summer, he could just see the out of his contract and leave as a free agent in 2026. Yeah. I just want to mention that part of it and say that will be that cannot happen. Like Charlotte has to make sure if he does leave that they get something for him. They cannot allow him to leave on a free transfer.
Yeah. And so there's I was talking about different pieces on the team that we needed that I think can right the ship here. And I think there's a couple things we can do. I think Pep Biel has earned probably a DP spot. I'm perfectly content with keeping him. I think most people would be. Yeah. I still think you need to figure out what you're going to do with Abada. And before this show, I was going to bring up Pat anyway. The team needs to figure out what they're going to do with Pat. So it looks like this might actually come about in the summer. You could potentially sell Pat and make some good chunk of change and then go get a couple of folks that are a couple $1 million each to plug in some holes. I think you need to figure out Abada's situation. I do think you need another fullback. It could be someone that could play on either side. I think we might need a right back. And, there's been some debate. I feel with our backup center mids, I would like to see us pick up someone else because I'm not content with Williamson and Gianni.
So, and just for those who aren't aware, so MLS summer transfer window this year is pushed back slightly based off of quote unquote feedback from directors and owners in the league. I'm sure we have one of those directors who may have been a little vocal on that previously in the past.
Sure he said it on the show, I think.
Pretty sure he did if you go back and listen to that interview. But it says now the secondary window this year is July 24th through August 21st. So it does align a little bit better with European windows. It's not perfect, but it's a little bit better. But to me, that's still, and I know, and I'm not going to go make this into transfer window talks. We got a lot to talk about on Charlotte, but if you're going to sell Pat, sell him earlier the better, so that way you can figure out what you're going to bring in to replace him in. Because especially now, if we were in first place, second place in the East, or top 2 or 3, and then you were like, hey, we've got depth pieces, we're clicking, we're doing this, I'd feel a little bit better. But right now we're kind of in this nosedive of performance. You cannot afford to sell one of your weapons and be like, yeah, we'll ride it out and see who we get. You got to figure that out.
Well, I think, because if you go ahead, you've got to make a decision on Pep, right? And so the decision will probably be a DP spot, I would think. So now you have 2. You got Abada and you have Pep. You have a third one. Does this organization think that Patrick is near that? Will Patrick want that since he's getting all these other offers? I mean, we turned down a $4 million deal for him. But yeah, to your point, you got to make it early because then you got to get people in. You can't just ride out the rest of the season with Tokolomati and Smalls, which, I mean, I wouldn't think that you would want to do that, but maybe I'm wrong. But so lots of decisions coming up that are going to need to be made.
Gives me some anxiety, especially after a recent run of form, about what's to come. Because I'm sure 30 days ago, I'm sure the summer transfer window felt a lot better than it does right now, potentially. Yeah. So, but yeah. So we'll come back to that here in just a minute. But I know you talked about fullbacks, right? And so I know you say that you wish we could bring in another one. So for those who aren't aware, like we talked a little bit about it last week, and I know we've talked about it in our Discord, but current state, Nathan Burns out for a significant amount of time.
A long time.
I don't think he's back this season. Me personally speaking, I'm recklessly speculating that just because he hasn't played in a very long time. When he does come back, he has to practice, get into game shape. I just don't see that happening. But
I could see maybe September or
sure.
like getting close to playoffs. I mean, but again, like, kind of to your point, like even if he does come back, when he's going to be completely match fit, and is he going to be the Nathan Byrne that we had last year in the first 8 games? So
yeah. So he's out obviously now, right? And you've had Nick Scardina starting at right back for a little while. You had us trade for a loan with Marshall Ruddy from Montreal. You have Suleiman here now, who just returned last night. Made his first minutes in quite a while after an injury.
Thank God.
He's on loan as well. So, and then you have Tim Ream, who's played left back potentially, right? So why do you feel like Charlotte needs to bring in another fullback?
I mean, and I hate to bag on Nick. I really don't, but I'm sorry. It's just not cutting it. Like every game he's called out of position. Every game he's losing track of defenders. So when we played Columbus, I was down in the vault and I was sitting in one of the sideline seats right where Nick was when he was on defense. And I was screaming at him nonstop to look behind him because there was a guy behind him. And he was just like losing track of folks. I just think, and then you have Ruddy on the other side playing on the opposite side of where he normally plays. And I think he has struggled too. And I think this is where I think people need to kind of understand, like, if your fullbacks are out of position and they're getting beat, your center backs and your center mids have to then go out of position themselves to cover for your fullback mistakes. That's where all these gaps are coming from. And I think that's where we're all trying to figure out, like, point to what's the problem, right? And we're like looking all over the field. People have talked about Zaha. People have talked about Westwood. We've talked about Brent Bronico. We've talked about on the other side.
Who would dare talk about Westwood?
Well, I don't know.
Don't know who that was.
So
those damn crazy people.
I think what you guys were trying to get at is, like, again, trying to find out where the issue is. But I can, like, if you look at the first 8 games, we had the same midfield as we do now. But what's been the difference? Nathan Byrne. And then Doumbia too. I think people, and I kind of forgot this too, Doumbia actually goes out at the same time. He literally, I think he played 4 games, gets immediately injured. So now you don't have 2 starting fullbacks. Now you have 2 20-something-year-olds that are very inexperienced. And no wonder we have defensive problems. No wonder Malanda and Privet are getting called out. No wonder Bronico and Westwood are losing track of the middle because they're having to cover and getting all pulled out of shape. So I really do think it is as simple as fixing the fullbacks. And once you do that, I think we're going to be perfectly fine. And the fullbacks against Columbus had a much better game. And I think that's why we ended up winning. But oh boy, it's been rough.
So on that note, and I'm just looking at, and again, it's just FootMob and it's ratings, whatever it is. So if you look at the back line, and this is just like looking at season stats, Marshall Ruddy's a 6.5, Privet's a 6.6, Malanda's a 6.8, Scardinia's a 6.5, and then if you look at Kalina as a 6.5. And I know you've been very vocal online about this, but Kalina, so they have 27 goals conceded so far this season. How many of those came in the month of May, Matt?
23.
So 23 goals came.
Well, that's all competitions. All competitions.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. You're right. And that 27 is only MLS competition. So that's excluding open cups, et cetera. Right. Yeah. How much of that's on the back line? How much of that's on Kalina, you think?
I think it's the fullbacks, but I will say this last game, that first goal is inexcusable. Now, I love Kalina. I've got Kalina save stickers in my hands. Reigning MLS goalkeeper of the year. Phenomenal season last year. has not been good this season. I'm sorry. Just hasn't. He just hasn't. But it's because, again, our defense has been so terrible. But that first goal set the tone of the game Wednesday. That first goal, I played goalkeeper when I first started playing soccer. That is the very first thing you are taught is to guard your post, near post. And he didn't. And I don't know if he was thinking that the guy was going to cross the ball over and was cheating, but you can't give up a goal like that. And so that was bad. And he's made at least 3 or 4 kind of boneheaded plays now. And it kind of harkens back to early Kalina, like, but I'm not worried about it. But yeah, I mean, like he's the reason why the first goal went in. I mean, you could talk about, Milan and Privet had a pretty horrible game and lost the runner, but man, you just can't get beat like that in your post.
So to put this in perspective, Kalina right now is averaging more goals against in 90 minutes than he has his entire career and at Charlotte FC.
Yeah.
So he's averaging right now 1.69. His second highest was in 2022, so inaugural year, which if you think about it, had Miguel and then also Christian Latanzu take over about this time last year, that first year with 1.55. And then his MLS goalkeeper of the year statistic was a 1.09 per 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty significant lift. Now, if you look at his save percentage, though, it's his highest save percentage for the year.
Yeah. Yeah,
career,
I think
so.
I need to look. It was like maybe 2 weeks ago we led the league in shots against. So I mean, if you're getting shot on more, you're probably going to give up more. And I'm not worried about Kalina. I think he'll he has some other things going on too. And I think they even said it on the broadcast, right? So I'm not concerned, but he has. I mean, again, that first goal is, I think, completely on him. You cannot give up that goal.
Well, again, to your point, look at this. You said, this is shots on target again. So this is from fbref.com, right? So if you look at so far this year, shots on target against, he's already at 91 shots on target against. Last year, within 34 games, they only had 154. He's already passed the halfway mark about how many shots against last year. Yeah. Now, and his save percentage is the same, but he's already, if he keeps this average up, he's going to be at a much higher clip rate, and which last year was his highest as well, by the way. So he's on pace to break that in terms of that, which is not a great look for the defense.
Yeah, I really think it's that, and that's why maybe I'm a little hopeful too. Is like, I really just think you just fix your fullbacks and we're okay.
So you're telling me it's not Ashley Westwood? That's what you're telling me?
It is not Ashley Westwood. He is not too old. So here's the thing. I listen to the show, but you guys are not the only ones that are saying that. Like, there's a bunch. Did I tell you about the lady that would literally sit behind me and Steven at one of the games? And she never sits there, right? She's sitting behind us. I think it was the Chicago game. I think it was. She never sits there, and she's made some other comments. She clearly did not know what she was going on, and she literally said, "She goes, yeah, I don't think Ashley Westwood's very good. He shouldn't be captain anymore. He's not captain material." And it took Steven like had to grab my arm because I about turned around. But I've seen so many comments about like, oh, we should give Westwood a break. We need to try some different midfielders, and I wanted to scream, and I was talking to you guys. I'm like, that literally just happened. The scenario that everybody's talking about has happened twice now, and we have sucked both times. So everybody's like, hey, we need Williamson, who I think has been a disaster. I'm sorry. Diani, who I think shouldn't even be on the team. They're like, they should start. Pekovic should get some more minutes, which I completely agree with. I think Pekovic. For
the record, by the way, we did not say that Gianni or Williamson should start over Westwood.
No. I'm saying you guys are not the only ones that have talked about this. And so, but I'm like, the scenario that people are talking about literally just happened though against DC, and we gave up 3 goals and looked horrible. I know it's one game, but then people are like, well, Westwood needs a break. I'm like, he just got 2 games off. And so that was kind of like my thing. Like, but like, a lot of people are starting to point to the midfield, and I'm like, it's not the midfield. It's the same exact midfield that we've had. The only difference is the fullbacks are out. So.
Yeah, and here's what I would, and not to go down that whole rabbit hole in conversation again or anything like that, but what I would just say, I think we were, and Corey, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we were just kind of say we just need to try something different here because it's not working, and we just need to figure something out because, and I don't know, and so we did, and it didn't work, and so here we are. So
the only pushback I'd make on saying that we tried something different is like the lineups we rolled out for the Open Cup are not our normal lineup.
That's true.
Sub midfield, like. We rolled out, a lot of other random pieces with that
Vargas,
one too.
Williamson,
Tuiloma,
that was the midfield that everybody's been wanting. Is Williamson,
not us though. No, not us.
Well, no, I'm not talking. I'm not saying just you guys. Like,
all I mean is that it's not like we changed one thing. Like we're looking at the Open Cup rosters; those are very much different looking lineups than
the kind of the same.
We just named 4 players that are different from our standard starting lineup.
Who?
So, Gianni started for Open Cup. Williamson started for Open Cup. Tavares started for Open Cup.
Tavares,
but that's what
Tuiloma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tavares, but you had Vargas started last game, so it's like of the same.
Well, our starting 11's been all over the place all season, so I don't even want to. Other than,
but my pushback was like, you guys wanted Williamson, not you guys, but like people wanted Williamson and Gianni. You got it. Twice.
I don't know how many people. I don't know many people that said that. I mean, maybe you did in the stadium.
I keep seeing comments online. I keep seeing people talk about how Westwood's old needs a break. I'm like, he didn't like after 8 games just age rapidly. Like,
I mean, I would after 8 games.
So I don't know. It's weird, but no, I do think it's because people are trying to your point, like figure out what's going on. Can we try something different? Can we do something different? Because it's not working. But again, I think the difference is the fullback situation.
So yeah, I know folks have been clamoring for some other stuff or something here, but like, and I guess this leads to my next conversation of like, should Charlotte FC fans be freaking out? Because I'm looking at where we're at currently on the table now. We're sitting in 9th. Feels like forever ago that we were in first place. But here's what I wanted to look at here. Dean Smith in 2025, 7 games win, 1 draw, 8 losses. Dean Smith in 2024, 14 wins, 9 draws, 11 losses. So we're literally 3 losses away from him hitting his all-time high. Now, granted, he's only been here for 1.5 seasons, whatever it is. But when do we start saying what's the alarm bells? Or are we already doing that a little bit? Because again, for it to be 1 win in 6-7 games now, that's not, and that's, I guess, if you don't count Open Cup, but it's kind of a little bit of a lower percentage if you count Open Cup. Should fans be concerned?
Yeah, I think so. Anytime you lose 4 or 5 in a row, there's definitely, no matter who the coach is, who the players are, what's going on. Yeah, you should be concerned. The schedule has been horrible. It's horrible in June. There's some, we've talked about reasons about that, which are kind of silly. We've had some major injuries. So, and we've had some pretty awful luck with, I feel, refereeing, and I do not want to hear, I do not want to hear any referees say, we're
gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back to that.
I don't
put
have
a pin in it. I'm gonna come back to that. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't have any more patience for it. Like the excusing the referee. I'm done. No, I'm done. That this refereeing bullshit is got to stop.
We've got a few questions in Q&A for that. We're going to come to that.
And it's not just it's not just our games. This is a league thing. Top Ben put out a really good video earlier today. Did you see it? The PK versus Milanda versus Aubameyang getting mauled, and Nate, I know, who's in Discord and as a referee, was like, I don't know if that was a foul. Dude, I'm sorry, that's a fucking foul in the box. I don't have any patience for it. the referee thing, I'm done. I'm done with.
Well,
Like,
save the energy because we're going to come back. We're going to come back.
That's not the only reason why we're losing. So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, oh, we are only losing because of the ref, because that is not accurate. But I am done listening to anybody defend the refs. I'm sorry. I played soccer all my life. I sit with a referee during games, or an ex-referee during games, and usually I'm the one that's like, that's bullshit. And he'd be like, nah, that's actually a foul. That's it. But even he's been like, yeah, this is some bullshit. So
so we'll come back to that here in a second. So alarm bells kind of ringing off for Charlotte, right? And this is, I don't know. Like, the East is super competitive. I think, and I hate to say this and be, because I remember telling myself back in like February, I'm like, I'm not going to be a negative Nancy when it comes to performance this year. I'm going to be a positive Patty. But I'm looking at this right now, and we're 11 points out of the Supporters Shield, and that is with teams like Vancouver, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Columbus Crew, Nashville. San Diego's past us at this point, which is kind of sad.
The West sucks. The West is weak.
It does, but the West sucks. But like, yeah, I mean, it is, but. I'm a little concerned about our placement here, because like the expectation lifted this year. Mm-hmm. We were all talking in February top 4. We kind of got our, got to puff our chests out a little bit for that 1 week of being number 1. And then it's like, okay, cool. Like, this is, I didn't expect us to be number 1 the entire year. I was like, okay, cool, feels good. But like, we'll be top 4, whatever it is. We're sitting in 9th right now with a 2 point separating us from 10th. New England, and 3 from Chicago. So we can very easily get jumped out of the playoff position. And I know we're about the halfway mark, but like, even Dean said in this press conference after this game that he's getting tired of saying that we were the better team out there, and we're making dumb mistakes and losing, even though we should have won, because the mistakes have got to stop. And like, I'm going to come back to a second question, but like, are you concerned with where we're trending at right now? And do you think we'll still make the playoffs right now?
Well, first I want to say I too am getting tired of him saying that. So I'm glad he acknowledged it, because I kind of, there is this, I guess, like pregame match conference fatigue, where you just don't want to hear what the coach says anymore after losing nonstop. You can only hear, we were the better team, we were this, we were that. And I'm like, no, you lost again. So I'm glad that he actually acknowledged that. The problem is the 2 teams below us have only played 14 games. So they have 2 games in hand, which is not nice. So we could fall even further. June sucks, dude. 5 games all on the road. It's silly. But again, it's a long season. Teams can go on a run. I mean, Nashville started the season off not great at all. They were at the bottom of the table. Now look at them. They're flying. Again, I brought up Atlanta, I think, during Soccer and Coffee, David. They were trash last year, just kind of like they are now. And then second half of the season, they just caught fire, made it into the playoffs, and had a good playoff run. I thought 4th was kind of where we would finish. I still think we can get back there. But again, there is a one focal point of where the wheels fell off, and it is Nathan Byrne, again, getting injured, and then Doumbia getting injured. And you have 2 pieces of your defense that are just out for long periods of time. Not like a game or 2, but like long periods of, and then one's going to be out for months. So that's tough to overcome.
So and I know we talked a little bit about this on Soccer and Coffee, but just to play devil's advocate here, just a tiny bit. Injuries happen all the time.
Yep.
Across the league, starters go out, extended period of time, etc. And you had one player go out in terms of on paper at right back, because technically on paper, Tim Ream started at left back this year. So sure. He's not out extendedly. So one player shouldn't make and break a season. And in terms of on paper, it shouldn't, right? Especially at a right back, that's a non-DP player. It shouldn't. So I do agree with you that it's part of it is that. I think the other part of it lays on some of the players' feet a little bit, just transparently speaking. Like, they're just not playing up to form like they've been the past 5 or 6 weeks. Dean trying different things here and there. But also, like, and I know Zoran's been on the show before and like this, but like part of this is also just like roster management, I think, between Dean, Bobby, and Zoran, because like we went into the season with our only left back with any MLS experience is Tim Ream. That's it. And then Nathan Byrne goes out, and then you're going to call up a guy and Nick Scardina come in who played at Legacy, draft pick, no MLS experience. You have to then bring on Doumbia as a lone player to fill in the depth for Tim Ream. He gets hurt. You have to scramble and then get another player on loan. Like that, to me, that kind of set us up for failure a little bit. That kind of, it was like the perfect storm. And it was like, hey, I'm hoping this doesn't happen because this is where we're probably our thinnest on the roster because midfield depth is there, wing depth is there, striker depth is there. But like, I'm a little disappointed on our season hinging on a right back getting hurt potentially.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. Like, you know, Jalen Lindsey left. That was the kind of the coach's decision. Like, hey, if you really want to get playing time, and you know, from what I understand, it was a nice conversation. It wasn't like, hey, you suck, get out of here. So Jalen leaves. Yeri, who I really, really liked, he's gone. Yao Pedro, he's gone. And then, you get stuck. So, there's a little bit of mismanagement. I also think that Dean has made some kind of bad decisions. I'm not saying I want him out. I'm not even close to that. I'm just saying, like, he's made some, like, kind of foolish decisions. You know, I go back to the Orlando game, and he runs out that weird tactic that everybody kept saying was wonderful, but we've never done again. If it was wonderful, we'd keep doing it. So we stopped doing that. He subs in Tim Ream at the DC game, which really kind of infuriates me because in hindsight now, Dean comes out and was like, yeah, Tim's been dealing with a nagging injury and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why the hell did you play him in DC when you had the lead? You didn't need to play him. You sub him in for Bill. You don't even take an offensive player out to kind of solidify the game. You make a like for like sub. Unfortunately, Tim kind of makes a bad clearance, but that was an unneeded like little things like that. Why did Malanda take the first PK? Whose choice was that? And then there's been some other little things. So I think it's just been a culmination of all these like little things that have kind of caught up to us. But again, I do think all this will get ironed out. I do think we'll be okay. I you know, we're starting to lose a lot of ground to the first four. That's my worry. Playoffs, I'm still pretty confident about, but losing track of the first four is my problem.
And not to sound condescending or anything like that, but like everyone makes a joke, like everyone makes the playoffs in MLS. I mean, it's
sure.
9 out of 15 teams make the playoffs in each division. So 18 out of 30 teams, more than half of the entire like field makes the playoffs. Yep. If you don't make the playoffs, you're pretty atrociously bad. And so like the expectation this year is I still say it's not a great season if you don't finish 5th or higher. Just transparent.
I think again, I think we are a kind of what we have is a 4th place team. And I say that because the East, you were just talking about, the East is stacked, man. East is really, really good this season. But I just think we've had some bad luck. Doumbia going out really kind of threw a wrench in things, right? Because we had a left back, and then you had Tim Ream as kind of a backup, and he could play center back. And then Doumbia goes out. Then you have to go get a dude on loan. Like, it really kind of threw off a lot of things, and it highlighted, David, your kind of point, like some of the other decisions that we made, maybe kind of hedging our bets, maybe like, oh, this won't happen, So
correct.
Yeah, correct. But I think it's kind of come back and bit us in the butt a little bit, and hopefully lessons learned there. But I'm hopeful about what we can do the second half of the season. I just really, really, really want to get past June. Really want to get past June without like being at the bottom of the table.
So looking at June, just to kind of on that note, so obviously it doesn't count as June, but it kind of is, I guess. Well, it kind of, this Saturday we play Toronto on the road, May 31st, right? Yeah. And then then we have a small break for international play. Yeah. So, just not to rub salt in the wound. Patrick Ream got called up. Tim Ream got called up. Lee Labata got called up. Bill Tuiluma got called up. So some players playing some international minutes. And then we come back to Philadelphia on June 14th. Then we go to Kansas City on June 25th. Then we go to Chicago on June 28th. And then we finally come back home July 5th against Orlando. So we literally will be on the road for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row. And then if you go back to May, you had us play Columbus at home and Chicago at home. And that's it. So we played 3 games in the month of May and June at home. To me, that's... I'm going to be selfish here and be like, I'm going to go to Metallica this weekend and say that's great. But like, so I'm having my cake and eating it too. But to me, as a business operation side of this, that is completely unacceptable to have your team be on the road for almost 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Like, and play on the road. That you just can't allow that to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this year's a little different because of the Club World Cup, and that's pretty massive for the city and growing the game and everything like that. But is this going to be an every year thing? Are we going to be like, you're screwed in the summers, guys?
I mean, it's been this way the past 2 years before this. So even without Club World Cup. And that's the thing. Beyonce incident with the U.S. Open Cup. Right. We've had Top Golf up there. We've had, there's been things that happen, and I get the city benefit of this. And Charlotte FC, while I hate to say it, is kind of the third tenant in that building in terms of revenue and business operations. But like, I don't know. To me, it just makes it seem like it's not a serious operation or club thing, that they're not putting it as a serious priority.
Well, I mean, there needs to be soccer folks in the room having those conversations with David as they're kind of mapping out the years ahead. And I'm sure these things are, again, mapped out years ahead. But there needs to be somebody in the room being like, hey, I hear what you want to do, but like from a soccer perspective, having this schedule is detrimental to the season and can really affect how I mean, like playing 5 games on the road after coming off a huge road thing.
Another 5 games on the road.
Right. Is baffling and very, very stupid. And if this was a one-off thing of like, hey, Club World Cup, we got a lot of things going on, I could pass off. But like what you're saying, this is like kind of like an every year thing. Not as bad last year, and hopefully better next year. But like, somebody needs to be in the room and say, hey, this is not great. It's not a good look. It rubs fans the wrong way. I'm sure the players don't like it, and maybe it's going to take some of the players saying something. But
not to be pessimistic here, but Panther players also have voiced their displeasure on turf for the past 3 years straight, and Tepper and team don't do anything about it either. So even so, I don't think players saying anything, especially as a third tenant, is going to do anything, unfortunately. Yeah, but that's just me being pessimistic a little bit. As I'm wearing a full kit and a hat and going to Metallica this weekend.
And you're enjoying all the things, sir. You're enjoying.
I want my cake and eat it too, sir. Okay. Just give me a soccer-specific stadium. It'll be fine.
There could be a good balance, and that's the thing. Like you have to have Panther people in the room. You have to have Charlotte FC people in the room. You have to have business people in the room. But they all need to get together and be like, all right, there needs to be a happy medium here. And again, if this was a one-off year, okay, I could be like, well, it is what it is. But it is kind of an every season thing. So.
Well, Swift, I know we've got some fan Q&A queued up. I'm sure we're going to go off on little tangents here a little bit, but anything else you want to touch on about Columbus or Red Bull that you just really want to make sure we talk about?
God, yeah. Just how many mistakes can we make in one game against Red Bull? And the refs suck.
Like, come back to the refs. Don't worry.
I mean, like, just... We didn't lose again. We didn't lose because of the ref, but I mean, like, Jesus Christ, man! Can we catch it? Can we have a referee go to the damn monitor for at least one of our?
Just give me the optics.
All right, let's just go into the Q&A.
Just the
optics. Let's just start it. We're doing it because he's already there.
Go ahead, Corey. Yeah,
question from Gordon. VAR.
So I have a perspective here. So
hold on, I'll read the whole question.
Sorry.
That is just a bit. Yeah. Please talk about VAR. Why aren't refs being called to go to the monitors to look? Why does VAR and MLS seem to be applied so inconsistently? Okay, now
because it's a joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So maybe it's not. Well, we say referee, right? But maybe it's not referee. Maybe it's the jackasses that are sitting in that booth that get to see the replay and are still like, oh, no, man, look good to me. Like, that has to be how they talk because you got to be inbred. Like, the shit that you, like, we can look at the monitor. Like, that Malanda PK thing is an absolute farce. Like, give me a break, man. But, like, I really just want a referee to, like, be like, you know what? I'm still going to call this a penalty, but Charlotte has – I'm just going to go over to the monitor. If a referee would just do that once, I would be okay. Has a referee gone to the monitor to look at anything this season?
I don't
maybe
think so.
once?
I said that in Discord. I think one time maybe, if that.
I mean – I thought I was going to lose my mind at the Columbus game because there were multiple calls and literally like a 10, 15-minute time window. Yeah. Other than that, I thought the referee was actually pretty good.
He did. Yeah,
but
he had a good game.
There was he just kind of like lost it for a second. And, I talked to some folks after the game. I talked to Zoran. I won't say exactly what he said to me, but he was not happy. And it is kind of this thing like we don't get calls, and maybe if we were another team, we might.
So for the VAR thing, just to make sure I understand what you're saying, because correct me if I'm wrong, the ref on the field doesn't make a decision to go to the monitor.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, go ahead. Dave.
So yes and no. From what I understand, and watching some of the MLS ref review videos and things like that. So they watch it and they're communicating with the center ref and they're saying, hey, we think that you should go back and look at this. Yeah. But it's still ultimately the center ref's decision if they want to look at it or not look at it, if it's the correct call or not the correct call. Right. So and if I go back 2 years ago, and I'm not saying that if they have to go to the VAR screen or whatever it is, I'm willing to bet if VAR really said, hey, I need you to go to the screen, they're going to go to the screen. Yeah. But the ref's still going to be able to say yay or nay, no matter what they say, right? Because I go back to, I think it was year 2, and there was a call against us or something like that where VAR is like, hey, we really think this is what happened. Here's the footage for it. And the center ref's like watching. They're like, no, I was right there. Call stands. And just walked away from the screen and just said, no, call stands. And so, and this is where I get frustrated in the Discord about it and just talking about it is because, yes, Charlotte's going to get calls. Charlotte's not going to get calls from time to time. Every team is going to feel like they're being picked on because of not getting calls, et cetera.
Right.
My frustration is it's the lack of consistency of when they go, when they don't go, and what they call and they don't call. I just want more consistency. And I always bring up, and I know in that Discord, I always bring up the Brandt Bronico offside call with Vargas that went to VAR, went to the screen. They watched it somehow in a shitty camera angle in a football stadium built for the Carolina Panthers in 1995. They viewed it and said, yep, he interfered with a player by picking him. And while he was nowhere near the play or the goal, said, nope, disqualified goal. But then we've had twice, I want to say, this year, where we've had that exact same call. It didn't benefit us. It was the exact same situation. Maybe not in the exact placement of the field, maybe not the exact angle, not that kind of thing, but the exact same kind of scenario and theme of a player being off. I think of what was it, Columbus, that was like that a game ago, where half the team was offside for some reason, and they were like,
Columbus wasn't off.
So the goal scorer was not off, but there was a guy right in the middle of the goal.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? Yes, the goal scorer was not offside on that position. I will 100% say that. But you have a player inside the box, 10 to 12 yards away from the goalie, that is moving in an action towards playing the ball. So
right in Kalina's purview,
peripheral, right?
Yeah, right there.
So if that is by definition a action that could interfere with the goalie's judgment and action to save, right? And so he could have paused, he could have hesitated, he could have moved towards that player because that player is making an action towards playing the ball.
Because that ball was going to the dude that was offside.
But right, so but God, it's so frustrating just talking through this. But it's just so inconsistent, and that's the frustrating thing about it. That's why
I agree with that.
I go back to VAR and going back to his question, where it's like, I feel like MLS has this like I'm gonna age myself here for a second. Like WinRAR thing, like like zip file shit from the '90s, where it's free version or free rare, right? Where it's like the light version of something going on, where it's like, hey, we're gonna use the trial version and just keep renewing it for 30 days and make a new email because we don't want to pay for it. It's like we have VAR, but do we use it properly? We don't have offside technology. We don't have goal line technology. We have VAR, but like, do we really have VAR? It's kind of like this half-assed approach for it. And for me, it's 2025. You have messy money, invest in it and actually use it the way that it's meant to be used, like how it is in other leagues across the world. If you want to be a top league and be serious before the World Cup, invest into the technology to be able to make the game called correctly.
I've just seen some god-awful calls or non-calls. There was another call in Columbus where Zaha is brought down from behind. Should have been a yellow card, not even a foul called.
Ashley Westwood got hacked, and it should have been a yellow card, and it wasn't a yellow card.
Not even, and that's why I'm kind of over. Like, because Corey, I agree. The ref you suck thing is annoying.
I agree. I'm not saying that.
I want to be very clear to everybody who gets from this. It's literally just that chant that I don't like. You can boo and yell at the ref all you want to, except for the one time I got mad is when the ref had nothing to do with us losing the game. Like whatever match it was, the Chicago match,
probably
people booed the ref. That was ridiculous.
Same. I'm like,
but I just want to be clear. Like I was yelling at the ref during Columbus. Like I'm not opposed to booing and yelling when it's warranted in the situations y'all are talking about now. I think the chant's stupid, and you should only do it when the ref actually did a bad thing that affected the outcome of the game.
To summarize what Corey wants, he wants a creative chant that's unique. I'm joking.
He wants no chance. You could just boo and yell. But he doesn't want chance. But no, that's the thing, and like that's why I'm kind of like I don't want to hear anybody defend referees. Like I get it. Like we all we're all homers and. We're like, oh, that was out on them when clearly, like I get it, but the refereeing has become a problem. Again, it's not because we're not losing because of it, but we're just not getting.
I 100% agree. There's not been a game where I said that the call made us lose. I agree with that. There's been moments where I think it could have swung momentum or changed the potential outcome, but there's not a reason where a ref made a call that we say, that's the reason we lost the game.
Yeah, and I'll just leave it at that.
The Patrick one against Columbus is still fascinating to me. And we talked about this. If you're in the Discord, we kind of had a back and forth. Because, again, I'm not trying to, I know how you feel about people defending refs. But I will say, and he's not here to speak for himself, so I'm just going to throw him out there. Nate, I sit beside Nate, and I have seen him yell some things at refs. Like, he is not opposed to also giving ref a hard time when he thinks they made a mistake. Like, he will let him have it.
Nice.
So he's not automatically coming into defense of every call a ref is going to make. Yeah. And I texted him in the moment with that, like, when Patrick went down or was tackled or whatever happened.
Yeah.
And he pretty immediately, he was a little more, like, hedgy about it, but he was like, no, I see why they wouldn't call that a penalty. Like, because it's like Patrick needs to be tougher. No, like, but like
that's the hold
on, let me finish. I'm just saying, like, so for both him and when I look back at it, Jeremy in the Discord, at the moment it happened, he also said not a penalty. Like for both of them to kind of immediately have that reaction, not like Monday morning Sunday morning, I guess in this case, Sunday morning quarterbacking it and saying like, oh, in retrospect, I'm going to defend the ref. Like both of them immediately were like, that's not a penalty. I'm like, okay. That's fine. If that's how refs see that call, then the rule is stupid because it's insane to me that Patrick he plays the ball a very specific way so that he can move over and get an open shot on goal. Mm-hmm. As he's turning to make that move, the guy just runs into him, hugs him, and brings him to the ground.
Doesn't make a move. Doesn't touch the ball. Doesn't touch the ball. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. And the point that they're making is like, well, what Patrick needs to do is make it more clear that he's moving through him, and then it forces the ref to make the call. And I'm like, if that's the way the rule is looked at, that's insane to me. I don't understand it one little bit. Again, clearly that's how those decisions are being taught to referees. right? Like if I mean this is incredibly small sample size, but the fact that nothing was caught on the field, nothing was reviewed, and the two refs that we have in our Discord chat both immediately said not a penalty. Like clearly, this is something that like this is the way it's called, and
it's like an
maybe
NFL,
the question
like,
is
what's,
more.
What's
It's
the
insane
definition
to
of a
me.
catch?
Yeah, what's a
Right.
catch?
It's just like that. Yeah.
So it's more like that. We need to rethink how we look at making those calls. If something like that can happen,
The referee that
it's
sits
not
beside
even
me said it was
remotely-
a penalty, and Andrew Weeby today on Twitter said yes, it looked like a penalty. So I'm going to say
Who's Andrew Weeby?
Also,
I'm sorry.
Patrick Ajamine doesn't need to do a damn thing other than what he did.
I agree. I'm with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wanted to point out the fact that like these are people who, again,
Referees can be wrong
can-
too. I love Nate and I love Jeremy, so I'm just being.
No, and I'm not. I get that.
But
I get
referees
that y'all are going against them. I
clearly
just thought
can
it was
be wrong,
fascinating.
and they can misinterpret. I will go to my grave saying that was a PK, and I'm sure that they will say no, it wasn't. So that's fine. That's fine.
Big shout out to Jeremy and Nate though, because they
Yeah.
always come in there and give us a good perspective, and they're respectful and
That's-
everything. They're not
that's
coming at
very
me and be like, David, you're really stupid.
Oh no, no, they give a very well thought out opinion of everything. It's just that particular one irks me because I think it was 100% a penalty, and Patrick did what he was
agree.
supposed to do. And Patrick, I think why it makes me angry is Patrick's manhandled every single game and doesn't get calls, and so I just don't like it.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I was like, I don't think we've talked. Obviously, we haven't had an episode since then, so people who aren't in the Discord hadn't seen that back and forth about that.
They're probably like,
specific
what the
call, so
hell
I
are
wanted
y'all
to like
talking about?
get into that a little bit about
Get into Discord. Get
just
into Discord.
get in the Discord, and you can
Tell me how
you can
wrong
hear
I
from
am
there.
about.
But that one was fascinating to me because I don't understand how you can look at that and not see a penalty. But again, we had multiple people say that they saw that's not a penalty, and then people saying it is a penalty. So like, I don't know.
Well, kind of.
I wanted to hear that perspective of like, okay, if that's not a penalty, please explain to me
Yeah.
why it's not. And so that's what I was trying to kind of put out there as the explanation that we got.
Well, I think what makes it worse is, Top Ben put out a great video of the comparing the Malanda PK. Malanda literally puts an arm kind of out, doesn't really make contact, doesn't trip him, does it? And it's a PK. And like, and again, it kind of goes back to the consistency.
Malanda, he breathed on him. To be fair,
I mean,
Like,
it was
he
just
was breathing
so
really
bad.
heavy and like breathe. He just went in front of him, and it caused him to fall down.
And so that's the frustration. It's like, can we get a call like that? Can we ever get a call like that? And it just doesn't seem like we just don't catch those breaks. But again, doesn't matter. That's we're not losing because of that.
Yeah. I should say that these first few questions, I think the first 3 are from after the Saturday match, just to put it in context. I mean, they factor in for both, but Donnie's, when I get to Donnie's especially, will make more sense after just Saturdays. All right, so Russell Varner is our next one. At what point do you consider rotating some of the usual starters, and who would you bring in / move to the bench? Like, for example, moving Westwood to the bench and maybe starting. I'm done. I'm just kidding.
So there's you
just made me so
help it.
happy. Thank you.
I'm gonna lose my mind on this show. Did you guys watch Williamson in this game?
Unfortunately, yes. I watched 90 minutes of it. Yes.
I just don't.
That is such a huge miss.
It is.
And I don't mean to rag on him because he seems very nice and seems very like great with fans and everything like that. But to trade $100,000 in GAM for a player on expiring contract who has not played a full season in almost 2 or 3 years, and to bring him on and inherit that contract that makes him a tame little player, and to get 2 starts out of 16 games, and the 2 starts, his football rating's like a 6.2, 6.3. Like something's not clicking there,
Dude,
and that's not a.
It's
got him.
It's not working. There was a moment, and I need to go back and find exactly when it was because I wasn't happy with. I just haven't been happy with him in general. There was a moment at the end of the game when we're trying to push. That dude comes back. We have the ball in the back. He comes back and literally stands still with an opposing player right with him, as if they're just kind of like hanging out chatting. He stands there while the ball is being passed around, not getting open. He is the worst about getting in pockets of space to receive the ball. Like him and Gianni, get gone. Let's get some other center mids in. I think we really missed Bronico this past game, and I want and look, I want to like all of our players, and I hate bashing any of our players, but like, I have not been impressed with Williamson at all.
No. Kind of unrelated question. I guess related to the question because we talked about this a little bit in chat earlier. Vargas Abada situation. How do we feel? Because we kind of talked about this. Like Abada's the one we were hard on, especially early in the season. I felt like he was starting to come on recently. Like we were starting to see better play out of him. He was, producing on the score sheet, but also just seemed to be playing a little bit better. But then Vargas has gotten the start. 3 matches in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And has played well too. Like, to credit to Vargas, like he's shown up and been playing better. Like, so it's almost like all of a sudden that position feels a lot stronger with those two battling it out. But do you think the Abada sitting is more of just trying to, rest some legs here and there, or do we think that Vargas is getting the selection over Abada right now for performance reasons?
Defense. Vargas gives you better defense. Yeah. I think that's really what it is. I think the coach really likes Vargas's work rate on defense.
Yeah, and I think Dean alluded to that during the press conference after Vargas started against Columbus. Is that he said, after Abada came in for the Open Cup, I kind of liked the matchup and the defensive skill set, that we needed to have in this game, etc. I don't know. If it works, it's great. And I'm not going to say this to rag on Abada or anything like that, but like it kind of just rubs salt in the wound to have a $6 million DP to be like coming in as a 30-minute sub like that.
That's a very different question. Yeah, like should he be on DP money if we're going to use him like that? That's a very different question. Yeah. But just from a playing standpoint, it's been interesting to watch that position because again, I think it's now we have two players who are playing pretty well right now to balance out that attack a little bit, which I think is a nice thing to have. It's just been interesting to see. Like once I felt like Abada was finally starting to catch on a little bit, and then there he is on the bench, and it's still come off the bench and had impact like he did Wednesday night as well too. So
it's the curse of the right wing. We had a DP in Kamil Jóźwiak, DP in Lil Abada, and now just playing. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think again, and I keep harking back to the fullbacks. I think maybe when we get the fullback situation fixed, there won't be quite as a need for defensive-minded,
That makes sense.
And so you might see Abada get some starts, but I said it like the team really needs to figure out what they're going to do with him that maybe this summer.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. All right, moving on to Donnie. We had a lot of questions, so we got sidetracked by refs too long.
Oh yeah, sorry about
that. So for Donnie, again, this is one that was asked immediately after Saturday. So the first part of this question will make sense for that, but the second part I think is worth talking about too. Was that a good enough response for the doom and gloomers? That was. Wednesday was not.
It was good. I was going to say it wasn't until Wednesday.
Yeah.
There was talk during the week that Wolf was turning a corner, and I think we saw that Saturday night. So I'm going to break up two things. Let's talk about Zaha first. I felt like Saturday was like everyone that was around me in the stands were like, finally, like that's it. Like that's what we've been looking for. Like, just the way the balls he was playing, the way he was playing. I mean, I think we saw a different side of him all of a sudden. That was exciting to see. And I still think he played. From my memory, I tried to block out a lot of Wednesday night, but I don't think he was bad Wednesday night either. I think maybe we finally turned that corner to where he's starting to work with him, and that could be very exciting coming down this stretch here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Saturday was a really good game for him. Just I think he said it too. I think it's just he needs some time to figure out how players make runs, and is Patrick or is Tiger Smalls or Tokamai, are they making the proper runs? and what's that dynamic between him and Pep Biel too. And I think we really saw that Saturday, those two connecting up. So and another reason why I'm excited about the rest of the season. I think we'll start seeing more and more of that. So, and again, our attack has not been the problem.
Right.
We scored goals.
Finishing at times has been, but yes, in general, the attack has not been the problem.
Was I the only one? Donnie did text me, so I know I'm not the only one, but did you guys think when Vargas's goal, he was going to like sky that over the goal?
Yeah, I sent that to you guys in the group chat. I was waiting. Yeah, I was waiting for it to sail over the goal.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I think it was you. Yeah. I was. I feel bad because I'm like, oh God, he's about to sky this. But no, he did good. He did good.
Yep. No, it was good. And so the second part of his question was around. Again, this is after Saturday, so he's like asking for a reasonable point total expectation for this road stretch. He said 5 games, but obviously we only have 4 road games left. So I guess like maybe we can break this into 2 things. Like, what do you think is a reasonable expectation for these next 4 road match as far as point total goes, and what's the goal? I don't know if that's the right way to word it, but like kind of what do you expect, and also what would be like success for you in this stretch of 4 matches?
We need to make up for the 2 home losses. Mm-hmm. So that's 6 points. So I look at Toronto and I look at KC. Out of the teams that we have left, I'm like, you got to go get one of the like this. Well, the past game, I was also kind of like, yeah, that's a good one to get, and probably should have done better. But anyway, so if I'm looking at the rest of the games here, those are the 2 games. I'm like, okay, you got to start winning an away game. But also too, David, you kind of mentioned our record. What is the one thing in our record that we're not getting? Draws, right?
We're not getting draws. Yeah.
So
correct.
Some of these losses, if we could just turn some of those losses into draws, things look a lot different. And so we got to grind out some points. But I think 6 would be great. We need 2 road victories to make up for the 2 home losses. Yeah. I think that would do wonders.
I was going to say the draw comment. So I'm hoping for at least 5 points. Getting a win on the road would be great, and get 2 draws. We have 1 draw this year, and that was the very first game against Seattle. And that was kind of us pulling it out of our ass a little bit the last second, right? Thanks to an own goal. Yeah. So if it wasn't for an own goal, we would have 0 draws this year.
Yeah, it's
right?
crazy.
And we were like a team that would be drawing like crazy, right? And so we've got to get into the mentality of, we may not win every road game, but we're not going to also lose every road game. So we've got to be able to get some points in the road here and get a draw. Yep. So if we could win against Toronto or win against Kansas City, great. And then draw against, Chicago, or draw against someone else, like that would be best case scenario for me.
Yeah.
I think it's potential that we could go on a run here, and like we have on paper the ability to get 6 to 9 points in the road. But realistically speaking, I would say 5 to 6 is a good goal.
That Chicago game too, I think is gettable. And I think we should have a chip on our shoulder about them being us 4-1.
I'll be there for that one. I hope it's a good one.
Nice. Very cool.
It's my away match this year.
Are you going out to eat anywhere, Corey?
Probably. So my wife has a really good high school friend who lives up there. So we're gonna be hanging out with them. So we'll have a local guide. So I'm not sure exactly what the plan is, but
I have some hookups in restaurants.
All right.
Up there.
We'll chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I haven't been to Chicago in a little bit for
nice, man.
Anything for fun. So it'll be good. And I'm hoping for a good match there too. Better than the Montreal one last year. So okay, next one from Donnie. This one I think came after the Wednesday match. So I think we're in the post Wednesday universe at this point. 2 years ago, we struggled with goals at the beginning of and end of halves. This year, we struggle with goals right after we score. Is it as simple as we lose concentration in these instances? David, you want to start this time?
I was going to say, yeah. I think it's just, I don't have a better answer than that. Yes, we have bad concentration. We have, you don't let in 27 goals in a 6-week time span and be good mentally from that. So you gotta fix that.
Yeah, we're just making bonehead decisions, man. Like Yeah,
I mean, like the Marshall Ruddy, like I know we didn't go into details of the game, but the Marshall Ruddy pass that led to the foul, that led to another foul, or the Williamson tackle, which was a foul, which led to advantage, that led to the Andrew Privet tackle in the box.
That was wild.
Which, by the way, I know I was like, we gave refs a hard time. That was the correct call to go to VAR and go to the screen and make that a PK. It was
and a really
call.
smart advantage call by the ref too.
It was.
To like play advantage, because otherwise they wouldn't have gotten that PK.
Right.
Like I think that he made a great call there.
Yeah.
But what a ridiculous mental lack, because I saw it happening. Ruddy was freaking out. There wasn't anybody making runs. He was getting pressure. He did a shit pass. Williamson did a shit tackle. And then it just went to Privet, who made a shit tackle.
Because Williamson wasn't open, because he never gets open, and then makes a shitty tackle. I'm done, dude. I'm really fired up this episode, and I want to apologize to Nate and Jeremy. I'm not really attacking you guys. I love you both.
I think they're good. I think they're good. Okay, cool. Let's keep moving forward. Chris Strout, we lost. This is one of those that is like,
I love
sorry, that's not the whole question. This is one of those that's like a statement framed as a question. So we may not need to respond to this, but there's a question mark in here. But I really think just Chris had some things to say.
Cool.
We lost again against Red Bulls, a team that basically plays the same game around the world. How are we not making the adjustments we need each year? Last night had them sitting back more due to tired legs, but not at first. And one, we struggled against their press. And two, we still lost to their mostly backups.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. They didn't even have their DP playing.
No.
And like we were playing their open cup roster, basically.
Yeah, not great. We just Red Bull is just one of those teams that just has our number for whatever reason. Yeah. And yeah, I like the statement question, because we know, hey, Red Bull is probably going to press us.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Nothing. We're going to not get into good spaces and stand there like a jackass. Like we just
in the rain,
we just didn't
in a
move.
slippery game.
Yeah.
Like
we didn't move. We don't move. We just I don't know. And you can beat the press by control. We could not control the ball longer than 2 seconds. We kept giving the ball away.
Even Lloyd Sam said that. He was expecting Charlotte to come in and control the ball. And he said in the first half of the broadcast, he's like, I'm shocked, because Red Bull, I thought, would come in and just press and have low possession. He goes, and they have 60% right now. And I don't know what's going on.
It was infuriating, because to the question, it's coming. So you should be able to prepare for it and do something with it. Those balls over the top to Patrick, like, it was just a poor performance, man. Yeah, like I get it. Like,
it goes really well in a very soaking wet field and rainy play, just booting the ball and hoping something happens.
Hope a defender slips.
Hey, man. Yeah.
No, I was going to make the same point that you did about David, about Lloyd Sam on the call. One, I just love whenever he's on a broadcast. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
But two, he said that, and I also love, because like Lloyd, he'll like try to not be overly negative. I feel like especially about Charlotte, because he obviously has a soft spot for the team, but he tries to not be negative. He'll just say things like, "That's not what I expected him to do."
Yeah, correct. Yeah, no. He was very
well, that's
good.
not how I would have done it. I'm like, "Yep, I know what you mean."
Yeah.
I know what Lloyd's saying in the background right now.
Yeah. We could read between the lines. We get it.
Oh, I love it. All right. Our ray of positivity today, Russell Varner.
Nice.
Am I weird for saying this is after Wednesday? I should be clear. This is an after Wednesday question, I think. I'll double check that.
I think you're right.
It is.
Am I weird for saying I feel more hopeful about the direction of the team now, despite the poor run of results? Whereas early in the season, we were getting more lucky than good. We were consistently getting out XG'd. Now we are the team that is out XGing opponents. Done so in 4 of the last 5 league play.
So
also, there's a question here, so I'm just going to keep reading Russell's whole point, and y'all can respond to it. We may not have been as good as we started last year, but we are not as bad as we have played in the last few weeks. Positive regression is due, as is the team remembering how to play defense and clean up to stop regressing. Though a new kid will do that to you, as Russell knows as well as the other fathers that are involved here. So yeah, comments on Russell's take here.
So I just want to say one thing here real quick. So it's funny he said that, because I was just pulling up random stats while you guys were talking here. And if you sort expected goals in the East, Charlotte is 6th in expected goals at 25.3, tied with NYCFC, whatever, New York. Orlando, Columbus, Nashville, Philadelphia are the only teams that are higher. Ironically, Atlanta is right behind us at 24. So, but the problem is we have the second worst expected goals against. The only team that has a higher expected goal against is the Chicago Fire. So, I appreciate Russell's positivity here. I don't know. I don't know if I feel better. I felt better Saturday, but then we answered it with this game. So I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm two-faced right now. I don't really know how to feel.
Matt is just taking like really deep breaths. For those that are listening and not watching, he just has his head down and taking very deep breaths. So I'm interested to know his thought.
I'm going to go on a tangent, and I'm going to try to make it really short, though.
Okay.
So I apologize. I absolutely despise the XG stat. And I'm going to tell you why. It is used by teams that lose. People use it all the time, and I'm sick of it. Like, I hear it all the time. I don't give a shit about expected goals and how that's calculated, or even how that's calculated. I think XG is literally used by people to be like, "Oh, we shoulda, coulda, woulda. Look what happened."
The computer says we won.
If we woulda just a da. Yeah, I'm done with XG and referees. So those are the two things that I'm done with this year.
I'm gonna make a sticker with expected expected goals, and Swift wearing a ref uniform.
But think about it, like, what does XG do? Nothing. It does nothing. It's a nothing stat because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, oh man, we had 6 expected goals and they only had 1. Well, too bad, you lost. So is that supposed to make you feel better? I guess maybe. I don't know. I just don't. I'm kind of over the stat.
I think it has. I mean, I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say I think it has a small place. I'm not saying it's the say all be all stat.
Sure.
But if you look at East, right? Mm-hmm. Philadelphia Union's in first. Nashville's like in fourth, but like Columbus is in second. Orlando's like in third or fourth. Like the top 4 expected goal teams are also the top 4 teams in the East. So you can at least look at it and go, well, Charlotte is underperforming in terms of finishing or their defense because, hey, they're ranked just as good as these other teams that are ranked higher than they are. But it just, again, it's not the say all be all stat and be like, well, we're actually really good. To your point, we're not getting the results that we should. We're still losing games, etc. But it just shows that we're at, quote unquote underperforming to what we are actually could be doing
because of our defense.
That's all. Yeah,
you could look at the goals that we've actually scored and be like, yeah, we should be a lot better than what we are.
Yeah,
but again, I think it's a nothing stat. Like, we score a lot of goals. We know that. We just give up a lot of goals, and that sucks, and that's why we're losing. So I don't know. People use it all the time, and I'm just like, man, okay, cool. That doesn't change anything. So.
No, I totally see what you're saying. I think it only can really be used as an indicator of how is our attack performing. In that we're creating, sure. It's like I mean, it's just like looking at like the chances created stat, like or something like that. It's like is the attack creating opportunities?
Yeah,
and that's basically what feeds into the XG numbers. Like as long as you're only looking at it from that realm, that's fine. But yeah, it's not. If you're not stopping people from scoring against you, it doesn't matter. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I follow an Arsenal dude, and he was talking about XG. I'm just like, I don't care. We didn't win. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Right. I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Philip Sanford. We're gonna really just hit all the hot button topics today. Ready?
Oh no. Oh, is this what I think? Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Here's a topic that has been hot. I'm just going to paraphrase. Has been hot on Mint City Slack and Charlotte FC Reddit this week. Beer showers and throwing of cups and cans! ! Before he gives his opinion, which he did, and I can share that later. I'll give you a simple, open-ended question. With reports of fans getting hit by cups and cans and everybody in the stadium seeing the debris on the field every match, what is your opinion on the team's approach to throwing beer? Particularly the encouragement of throwing liquid followed up with the empty threats if you're caught throwing an object that can, if you're caught throwing the object that contained the liquid. Beer showers.
Who do you want to go first here, Corey?
I feel like David maybe has stronger opinions on this, but I'm not 100. Just looking at facial expressions. Let's start with Matt.
Well, the thing with this whole situation, there's multiple things that are going on. The beer showers, I don't sit in the support section, right? So let me first say that. And I've seen some people like, well, if you don't even sit there, you don't even say anything. One of the reasons why I don't sit there is I don't want to get beer spilled on me. Okay? So that I think that's dumb enough, right? You're throwing very expensive beer on people, but okay, that's whatever. If you want to sit there and do that, that's cool. It's the full cups of beer and the stacked couple cups of beer with beer in it being thrown as a projectile from behind the supporter section. I don't think it's the people actually in the supporter section that are doing most of this. It's the people behind launching it into the supporter section, and it's hitting kids, adults. There have been, like, we have a good friend that got hit last game and has a concussion. The game before that, I guess that would have been the Chicago game. A little girl got hit. Again, somebody that we know really well. His little girl got hit in the head. And then I know of another concussion that happened of another friend of ours that their little boy got hit and got a concussion that had some kind of lasting effects there too. So it's just gotten out of hand. Now I will say they do eject people. I don't know if it's enough. I can't speak to that. I know that they're going to try to do some new things. I did speak with some folks at the team. They are going to try to do some new things. I know they make an announcement, but it's like 45 minutes before the game starts. I'm like, surely no one in the stadium when you make this announcement. So I think they're going to try to do some more things like that. But you know, if we're going to mess around, and it's going to be one of those things like in England where you can't even drink in that section.
So I had to take a deep breath. So I sit in the supporter section. I had season tickets for 3 years in the supporter section. And not to make this woe is me, because luckily I have not gotten hit by a projectile. Okay. I've had a hot dog hit me, ironically, but that was, yeah.
Who's throwing a hot dog?
It's ridiculous.
There's been nachos been thrown. There's like just all types of, it's just
orange soda.
Nonsense.
Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
So okay.
What are you doing over there?
Before I get, dude, it's ridiculous. So I'll give just context even for myself, and I shared this personal experience, but like I had to start packing extra sets of clothes, pants, socks, and shirts, so that way when I drive home from a 2-hour drive, I'm not reeking of beer, so that way people think I don't have it. I'm driving under the influence to get home after these games, right? Yeah. And it's disgusting. I had a pack of dude wipes to give myself an awful shower in the car because like I'm wiping myself off just to get the smell off of me. Like, but like anyway, so I'm gonna rewind this back and going back to Philip's question. The team absolutely 1000% owns and has a part in this process, and they own the culture that they've set. The very first game against New England, I have it on video when we scored our very first goal, and everyone went buck wild and threw drinks in the air and went crazy. It was a special moment. First goal in Bank of America Stadium. I get it. And here's the thing, like, and you're going to have moments like that and big moments that happen where things are going to happen. People are going to go nuts and things are going to slip out of hands. Popcorn's going to go flying, whatever it is. I would kind of understand to a degree of liquid flying during big moments like that, like winning our first playoff game, winning MLS Cup, scoring our very first goal. But that should be far and few between of those special moments, right? It should not be, hey guys, we just scored our first goal and we're losing to the Chicago Fire 3-0. Let's throw our freaking drinks up in the air and celebrate like we just won MLS Cup. That is a shit culture that the team absolutely has to own because they projected and supported a party atmosphere for 3+ years and embraced that. They didn't and yes, to Swift's point, and I know Swift had relationship in terms of, officer with Mint City and supporters previously. I myself had one. We know the conversations that we've had with the team and supporters in the past. The team does quote unquote eject people, but they do not eject people at a high enough clip rate and to make it severe enough to make people stop doing it.
Right.
They are more concerned about stupid ass flags flying and the messages that they say. They care more about people standing on a chair than they do about people throwing physical objects that's going to hurt somebody. And until someone physically gets hurt and sues Tepper Sports Entertainment because of what happens there in the stadium, Tepper and Sports Entertainment is not going to be able to control the situation unless they do drastic measures. Like what you were saying there, like I would be okay with them to not sell alcohol for an entire game, except for at halftime. Make a message and do it and make it something happen. Now, is that going to stop people from throwing soda? Probably not. That's neither here or there. But it's a shit culture. I'm sorry, it is. And I've heard people on Reddit and other places be like, "Oh, it's passion, it's soccer culture. It happens in other leagues around the world." Yes and no, but just because it happens in other parts of the world does not mean it has to happen in Charlotte, North Carolina. You make your own culture in MLS. You make your own culture with Charlotte FC. You do not have to take the shitty things that happen out there where people get hurt and be like, "Well, that's supporter culture. We'll just keep doing it." No, there's supporter culture out there that chant racist things. Should we do that? No, we don't do that because that's not the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. So why would you take the things that are bad and be like, well, it's supporter culture, right? So, and to your point, Swift, if you look at the stadium, and yes, it still happens in that lower bowl, in that lower half of the stadium. Sometimes it might be a supporter group member. Sometimes it may not. It's very rare that it is actually someone that's linked to a supporter group, because we've had conversation where we've had conversations with people that's done stupid things in that section before. Mm-hmm. But majority of the time it's coming from the outskirts of that section and the upper 200s.
Right.
And the other problem is that, and sorry to go on such a huge rant here, is that good. Best security and stadium ops is standing on the walkway between the 100 and 200 sections facing the 100s in the field of play. Mm-hmm. They are not actively in the 200s looking down at the stadium to be able to scope the entire thing.
Yeah.
The other part that's a problem is that because it's a general a GA section where people can sit wherever they want. Yes, they have cameras technology. People would be probably shocked of how much they can zoom in and see everything that happens inside that stadium.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is, because it's GA and people sell tickets and they can move and they can sit in different parts of the stadium, they can't link it like it's a Panthers game where they go, this person bought this seat, they're sitting in this section of this seat in this row, and this is where they scanned and came in. Yeah. So it's a little bit harder for the video to be able to say, unless they can catch that person in the moment and they stayed right there the entire time, then potentially yes. But I don't have the correct answer on fixing this. I hope the team takes it seriously, that it's a problem and it needs to be addressed and fixed.
Yeah, and in full transparency, when I was an officer, we could catch people if they were in a supporter group, because the supporter council would get together and be like, hey, and they would show us very closely, like this person in mid throwing a beer, on someone. Here's the thing, we literally would see people not throwing the beer in the air, hooray. It was literally taking it and throwing it at someone, down below, just on somebody on purpose. It was just what the hell? But we did have conversations where, hey, this person threw something. Are they in any of your groups? And, I think maybe year one, year two, there were, and we'd have to have a conversation with them or ban them or, whatever we had to do. But a lot of the times, to kind of to your point, David, it was people who were like, we have no idea who that is. And how do you track them down? And I don't think that they're banning enough people. I don't think, to your point, they are in the proper sections to monitor all this stuff. But I do think, because of the recent incidences, and I want to clarify something, because I got into it on Twitter with a couple of folks. They were like, well, how is beer being thrown getting people concussions and people getting hurt? It's not the liquid, again. It's what the liquid comes in, cup, and just other things. Yeah, people are just throwing things
they're throwing hot dogs. Yeah. I got hit by a hot dog. It's just stupid. It's
nachos.
Stupid.
It's gotten out of hand. People throwing beer in the air. I don't sit in that section, so it's one of the reasons
I
why.
hate it. I sit in that section and I fucking hate it.
And
just to be
that's the
clear.
thing, but I have seen a lot of people like, well, I like it. It's like, okay, so that's been a debate. And if it was just that, then okay. But it's not just that. It's people being stupid. And it's going to ruin it for everybody else. So, I'm hoping that the team will make some more announcements, actually do something, and start not only like kicking people out, like literally banning people from the stadium, not for a year, permanent, like because you're literally injuring people. And I guarantee if Greg Berhalter would have been hit actually with that cup, something would have happened. I think unfortunately it will probably take something like that, somebody really, really getting hurt, to like make.
But like, and I agree with you, but like you see this, like the swift action they take if anytime something happens. Think of like, what was it, Gold Cup that we had here a year and a half ago when like the players were getting at it with fans and families in the seats and things started getting chucked. They knew exactly what it was. We're going to take care of it, etc. They handled it.
Yeah.
Greg Berhalter almost gets hit with a can or a cup or whatever it is. They immediately have people on the field looking up and identifying and pointing and doing that. They're quick to act. In the supporter section, they are not quick to act.
Exactly.
It is like trying to wave someone, and I don't, not to go on this whole tangent of this and like bitch about business operations, but like, I don't know if it's a staffing issue. I don't know if they don't have enough people to do it. They don't, or they choose not to do it, whatever it is. They're too concerned about ticketing people to come into the section and policing the wrong things. They do not police, like imagine like the Ashley Westwood chant. They get upset because we say effing T. Oh, this is a family situation. We can't allow you to say that. And it's like, okay, you're more concerned about that than you are about a 24-ounce cup of beer that's plastic and falling from the 200s down, like rocketing into someone's head from the back of their head where they're not even aware of embracing for it.
Right.
That's the frustrating part about it. And then the other frustrating part about it is, like, you're paying $15 to $20 for that beer. Why are you throwing that?
I don't know.
Like,
I've never understood that.
Why would you do that?
I've
like,
never
why
understood.
would you waste? I don't know. That, not to make this whole episode that, but it needs to be fixed. I'm really sorry that those folks have been hurt, family members, friends, etc. From that perspective. I know supporter groups have been talking with the team and putting pressure on them to do that. So I know the people are having the right conversations. Yeah. I just really hope that, luckily the team's got a whole month to figure it out before the next home game.
That's actually was one of the conversations that I had. Like, you've got weeks to figure this out. So it just needs to be a little more strict. They've got to do something because, no one should ever be getting hurt by people throwing things, but it's starting to be like literally a consistent thing. So it's an issue.
It's been 3 games in a row that I've known someone that's been hit. Yeah. So
that's awful. Talk about the wasting money part. The first ever MLS match I went to, it was not at Charlotte, obviously. But I was taught for the beer shower, you drink a beer until about that much is left, and that's your throwing beer now.
Like very small.
And then you buy another beer. So you're not wasting your whole current beer.
Yeah.
You got the throw cup and you got the drink cup. And it's just a little bit.
You're chucking your backwash on me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You just toss it a little bit. You still got a full beer here, so you're not wasting that whole $15.
Basically. It's great.
God.
What was your first MLS game, Corey?
It was DC United. It was would have been 2016 or 2017. I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. It was the season opener for DC United. Whatever, I think it was their last season in RFK.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it was fairly recent. Like I never went to an MLS match before then. John Horn, who soccer people in Charlotte might know, used to be involved with some of the stuff that Johnny was doing and all that back in the old soccer blog days. But me and John Horn went up to DC, and because he was a big DC United fan, and so we went to that opening match. I want to say it was against Sporting KC. It was a 0-0 draw, which was the one thing I said I didn't want in my first professional soccer match viewing.
That's always great, isn't it?
0-0 draw. We had a blast. And we sat in the supporter section with the Screaming Eagles because that's the one he was a member of.
Nice.
In that old crumbling stadium. It was cold as all hell. We had a great time. It was a really fun match. But
nice.
that was one of the things I learned is how to wave a flag properly, and then also to make sure you have your beer throwing cup, which I never actually got to do because it was a 0-0 draw. So I just ended up drinking the backwash eventually.
If they fix the beer throwing, can I get both of you to come in the supporter section with me eventually?
Yeah.
If they fix the beer throwing.
By myself. I don't mind doing it by myself.
Yeah.
The reason I don't do it is because I either come with my wife and or kids, and I'm not taking them into that.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah.
I will come. I don't mind doing that.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Philip. Sorry
Yeah.
to make that a very long tangent.
No, I mean, that's something that I think we all kind of wanted to address for a while. So
Yeah.
I think it's great.
All right, 2 last questions from Eric. Eric Hill are both of these. Voting is open for MLS All-Stars. Is this the year we finally get a rep from Charlotte? Who's got the best shot based on the competition around the league at their position? And then this is a separate question, but give us a good cop, bad cop argument on why we should and should not care about this exhibition. I think All-Star games are stupid. That's my answer.
Well, you're a baseball guy, right?
Kind of. No, I mean, not like a huge baseball guy. Like I follow it. I think it's cool to get selected to the team. I should be clear. Like being named an All-Star is an honor, and that's an important thing. But like the actual game itself, and this is true of any league.
Yeah.
I don't watch any All-Star, Pro Bowl, anything because I do not care about what they actually do on the field. Just pick the teams and then like have a week off. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
So it's funny, Corey. So like in my younger years, I was the opposite. I would watch all of them. Like I'd watch Pro Bowl, NHL, All-Star, all that stuff. But now that I've gotten older, I'm very similar to you. Like I don't really care. I don't watch them. Like what I care more if I would watch the Pro Bowl more if a Panthers player was in it, and things like that. But like it wasn't like I gotta go watch it. You know what I mean? So like if a Charlotte FC player gets selected, like. I mean, sure, I might like watch a highlight of it on Instagram Reels, but I'm not gonna like make it go to TV to watch. Unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to like totally derail that. We're ranting about too many things. We're just like grumpy old men.
I'll share a funny thing here, not to make it a rant, but a funny thing. So talking about the All-Star, right? And so I'm gonna answer Eric's question first. So I'm gonna say, like before the season, I would say Kalina would have been great to get in there, but I don't think he's gonna get selected now. I think. 2 players potentially. I think Pep Biel. I think based off of performance expectations, but you also have Don Garber's bullshit thing where he's like, "Oh, there's the commissioner picks, and I'm going to do this." I think he could totally pick Zaha because of the name, and kind of be like, "Hey, I'm going to pick Zaha. I'm going to pick Messi. I'm going to pick all the Marco Reus just to get all these big name players to be highlighted from this perspective." So I think that'll happen. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Zaha there just because. Maybe he has it in his contract with MLS to do that. Who knows? But that's a different conversation. But I saw this on Reddit, which I thought was hysterical, is that people are bombing the MLS All-Star voting by selecting all LA Galaxy players to make it the worst team in MLS All-Star history. To put that out there, they're like, you think it's bad enough as a Galaxy fan to watch this every week? We're going to give you a taste of what this actually is. That would be hysterical if that actually happened. So I kind of want chaos. I might go and fill up one bracket out of all Galaxy players, and then I might make another one of what I actually think. But go ahead, Swift. I just love chaos. Sorry.
The baseball All-Star games always liked growing up. I don't watch baseball anymore, but I like the
the Home Run Derby.
Yeah,
I never watched the game.
Yeah, so that's always fun. Now for MLS, I like Keeper Wars because we have back-to-back champs in Keeper Wars or Goalie Wars, what do you want to call it? Yeah. I went to DC. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
To watch the All-Star game, and that was pretty fun. But they were playing Arsenal, so it was kind of like
sure.
But no, I like the All-Star game. I think we've used kind of the All-Star game to kind of promote the league, which I can get behind. But maybe, we've maybe kind of gotten past that at this point, because we basically like, all right, we're going to have our All-Stars play Chelsea, Arsenal. And then we kind of had this thing with like Liga MX, and I thought that was beneficial because the leagues are so close and we're half Leagues Cup and all that stuff. And then they immediately went away from that and now they're going back to it. So I feel like we just need to pick a thing and do it. But that's like MLS in general. It's like, they're like, what do we want to do this year? Let's just pick this random thing and then never do it again. And then, man,
why don't they just make it East versus West?
Well, they've had that before. But
Yeah.
I think again they were kind of like, well, we need to kind of promote the league and like let's get a big team in. And they started doing that. They're just always all
nothing
over.
screams a big name team is having Arsenal come in and play their third string Arsenal against MLS All Stars.
No, they had some starters.
I'm just playing, but I know, but like,
starters. But all those teams, to your point, they are in preseason. So
yeah,
Right.
They haven't signed all their transfer window players yet. They're not in fit and form.
Yeah, and they're not
going to run out a starter for 90 minutes against MLS
right,
All Stars.
yeah,
So it's like,
it is kind of it's silly. I think they really should go back to East versus West and highlight the league, but market it well. Like make it a big thing and like have all these competitions that are fun and have the
skills competition stuff.
Have all that. And I
did watch the skills competition. Yeah. Ironically, I watched that and not the game.
Yeah, well, I think
I'm more likely to watch that than the game if I watch anything.
Yeah, right. So I can tolerate the All-Star game. It's not my like favorite, and again, it's kind of like, but
yeah,
I like y'all's answers better.
I just have zero interest. All right.
Vote for Galaxy is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's so
all the Galaxy players in. Sorry. Yeah. Then watch Garber freak out and be like, "No, I'm going to override this."
He probably would.
I'm going to put. Go ahead. Go. Sorry.
No, you're good. All right, Eric Hill, our fun question to close us out. This has been a roller coaster of a week in Charlotte. What's your favorite roller coaster?
Thunder Road.
Oh, that's a throwback.
That it might break. It's extra excitement because you don't know if you're going to live or die.
Your brain will rattle around in your head for the 2 minutes you're on that ride.
It really would just like knock you around, dude. It was brutal. Brutal roller coaster.
So I was scared to death of roller coasters when I was a kid. So I did not ride roller coasters very much until I became like 18 or 19 years old. And my biggest roller coaster until like I graduated high school was the Scooby-Doo roller coaster at Carowinds. So that tells you anything from that perspective. But just do you remember the quote on the speaker going up the Thunder Road? Grit your teeth, bear the road. Something Thunder Road. I just remember that when you would go up to that thing. But anyways, Thunder Road was one of my favorite ones because I love the wooden coasters because it didn't make me go upside down, so I didn't feel like I was going to fly out. So Thunder Road and I always think of worst case scenarios. So like Thunder Road and Hurler was my top two for a long time.
Yeah.
Top Gun. I'm naming it as the old school name.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think
Top Gun was pretty good because it was smooth. I think it's called Afterburn now or something like that.
It was like crazy. the Borg, wasn't it, from some Star Trek?
The Borg's a different one. That was
okay.
I didn't write that one. Yeah. So, I would say my favorite. I'm gonna say Thunder Road just because it's nostalgic a little bit, and it beat the shit out of you, but it was fun. I mean, it was that was my favorite one. I will not ride Fury 325. Like
okay, I've done that. Yeah.
The fact that you go like straight down and then you like go underneath your initial drop and then curve back down. I'm like, no, I'm good. Yeah. I don't want to look straight down and feel like I'm falling forward. I'm good. No, thank you.
Fury was fun. I like Fury a lot. I also think the Intimidator at Carowinds. I know Fury gets all the love because the newest one. The Intimidator is a really good ride.
It's really high up, man. Jeez.
Yeah, so I like that one a whole lot. I would say we went to Disney over spring break, which I think has come up on the show before, and so I've got those are the most recent rides I've been on, and Tron at Magic Kingdom was super cool.
Okay.
Mostly, I mean, it's a great ride. I mean, it can't really compare to some like the big coasters you see like places like Cedar Point and stuff like that. But what was cool about it was like you're sitting on a like bike. So like the actual seat you're in, you're not in a typical seat. You're literally straddling like a thing, holding onto handlebars, leaning forward, and there's like a thing kind of pressing down on your back. Like that's the ride position you're in. You're like, it feels very... I mean, frankly, it feels insecure. Like you're like you don't feel like you're like strapped in like normal with the overhold thing. It's like you're riding like one of the bikes from the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
So just like a cool way to do that, and then it was just a fun, fast ride. So that most recently, that and Guardians of the Galaxy were pretty amazing at Disney. So
the Hulk coaster at Universal is pretty good too, and super fast.
But if you like roller coasters, I'm telling you, Cedar Point up in Ohio, we went there when I was in college.
Yeah.
Amazing. If you're a big coaster person, that's the place to go. Or at
Because
least
my
it was
sister
then.
lives in Toledo. It's not that far from there. I mean, it's a decent drive. But it's not too far. We were thinking about that one year, is kind of checking that place out. So
Yeah, we had a blast because we love doing roller coasters. So.
it's right there on the lake too. Like, it's pretty cool, right? Like, it's yeah.
So you guys might get some fun texts from Fatbird and I this weekend. We're going to be down in Mexico, and we're trying to find a sports bar to watch the game. So just be ready for
Just use your Apple app on your phone.
Be ready for some incoming text. I'll probably miss the episode next week.
See if the bartender will log in your Apple TV on their TV, and surely nothing bad could happen from that.
Just air, you know, whatever it's called. Stream it.
I'm pretty sure I'm still logged in at a Charlotte brewery somewhere because I tried to
be a
get
brewery where we recorded before.
Maybe
Not from your house.
I'm pretty sure I'm still logged in there because I did it one time because I was there watching a game. I was like, I'll just give you my login, or I'll just do it here. Like I stood there in front of their TV and like scanned the QR code and logged into my Apple TV.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They're pulling up.
I still see it on the list of like connected devices.
Nice.
I just love that they can pull up and be like, what's Corey watched this week? Mythic Quest. You know, like.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
It's a good thing there. So this is a good therapy conversation. This is good.
I feel like I complained a lot, so I apologize.
We were grouchy. People
Yeah.
were going to give us hell for being grouchy, which is fine. I mean, it's kind of the mood we're in, but
We're in ninth place. We can be grouchy.
we're a little grouchy.
Yeah.
At least we all know the things we want to rant about this week. We all had our thing. So
Yeah.
that was nice.
Maybe we'll win this weekend. We can talk about all positive things.
Yeah,
And then
there's
get
no,
updates
There's no
of
midweek
Swift
match to
and
ruin
Mexico.
it this
And
time.
the referees are going to make some amazing calls, and we're going to get some penalties this week.
I like it. I like that positivity.
Here we go.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. See you next time.
See you guys.